Hey guys, how the hell are you? It is New Release Friday. It is October 4th, and I am looking very, very forward to checking out all the new awesome releases that are coming out today. That being said, we've got to talk about the new releases from last week. Nay, we need to talk about the best new release from last week because there was a lot of records that came out last week. Some were great, some were not so great, some were overrated, some were underrated. We had new records come out last week from the likes of Opeth, Dragon Force, which I actually thought was rather good. Steel Panther, Creeping Death finally came out with their record. Implore came out with a great record. Car Bomb came out with a new album. But there was only room for one at the top, and I got to give it up to True North from Borknagar. Now, I am going to preface this a little bit by saying that I do consider myself a Borknagar fan. I'm not like a super mega fan or anything, but it's definitely a band that I've kind of followed and listened to since Quintessence, that awesome last album they did with Simon Hesnes before he moved on and became ICS Vortex with Dimmu Borgir. This is a band that I've always thought was really kind of grandiose and epic sounding. They had, in my opinion, kind of an interesting take on the whole black metal thing. That there was definitely like some folk and pagan metal influences that were creeping in there, but nothing so much that it was ever overpowering the fact that they were just kind of an epic black metal band. Very grandiose, a little bit symphonic, definitely a lot of keyboards playing in there. Some really incredible riffage in there. I mean, man, I listened back to that old record, Empiricism, with that first record that they did with Wintersorg, and man, that was such a good record. But anyways, I'm getting off the point. This record. So this record sounds dramatically different from what I know and love this band for. With that being said, I think it's kind of interesting that I'm calling it the album of the week because, you know, it's one of those things where I must have been caught on like a good mood or something like that. Or maybe it's just the fact of, you know, hey, maybe I'm just getting a little bit mellower into my old age, and I'm just kind of like, you know what? A good fucking record is a good fucking record. Who cares if it's different from their old stuff? You listen to this album, and you listen even to the album that immediately preceded it, and you can definitely tell that there's some things that have changed. There's been some lineup changes. For starters, Wintersorg's last album was the previous release, which, man, Winter Thrice was such an incredible record. And that was, of course, the album that marked the return of Simon back to the band on bass and vocals. And here he's kind of back at the forefront of the group once again. Although keyboardist Lars is still contributing a large portion of the vocals all the same. But Wintersorg is no longer in Borknagar, which to me is very, very sad. He was always an incredible vocalist, and I really loved him being in this band. Jens Ryland, long-time guitar player for this band, he's also gone. He's been in the band like even longer than I've actually been into the band. And he's no longer there anymore. It's just Oysten and Lars, and now with Simon back, and then they've got a couple of new guys in too. And there's definitely a stylistic shift that occurred. It's significantly less progressive. There's not really any traces of anything that's like sort of techie or anything like that. And even the black metal influence tends to only creep up very, very sparingly. This is just kind of a solid, slightly epic record from start to finish. Pretty much every song on there is very, very cohesive. It all sounds like it belongs on the record. Definitely some songs better than others, like Tidal is a really absolutely fantastic song. The opening track, Thunderous. Man, what a great opening track. Like 7 minutes of just like it just incredible riffage, and it's probably one of the most diverse songs on the record too. It's a little all over the place, but in a good way. Whether it be just sort of like kind of a straightforward driving rhythm, the moments where the black metal influence does come out to play a little bit, still with that sort of like great melodic sensibility that we saw on huge display on the last record is still there. Moving on though, like my favorite song on that record is the song that now there's a music video for, the final song on that record, the closing track on that record, Voices. Jesus Christ, that's a fucking Song of the Year contender right there. So good. It's just sort of got this like sort of underlying melancholy about it, but does not skimp on the riffage or the melody or anything like that. That closing track it's just incredible, and I almost don't want to say any more about it. I would rather you guys just, as soon as you're done with this video, go find that music video and watch it, because it's just kind of incredible. I love not necessarily the video so much, but the song is just killer. I love that track. I think it's a great way to close out a fantastic record, albeit something that's very, very different. I think one of the reasons why I might also like this record too is, since the last record came out, I didn't really listen to Borknagar, to be honest with you. Not even the older stuff. It was just something where, like, a bunch of other records just kind of stayed in my peripherals, and I never really paid too much attention to Borknagar over the last maybe 2 or 3 years. So, like, with this record, I think I was able to approach it with sort of a fresh set of ears and, like, just kind of appreciate it for what it was, just a solid record, not necessarily like a continuation of any sort of sound, or in this case, a discontinuation. So that would probably be the thing I would recommend to you if you're going to give this record a shot. Don't listen to any of the older material before you check this one out, because it's dramatically different, doesn't really sound the same, but it's definitely a very, very killer record. And I don't think you should just bypass it just because I'm saying it's dramatically different. Give it a shot. So besides that, extra special mention this week goes to a band called Iat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. IATT. This record is a record that I kind of wanted to get into because I know one of the guys in the band, but at the same time, I'm just listening to this and just appreciating this record for what it is. It's a really solid kind of post-black release that veers off into all sorts of different territories. You've got a little Swedish death metal influence there, a little just straight up death metal influence there, a lot of kind of traditional black metal influence in there, but these musicians are definitely of a caliber of like progressive metal musicians. So imagine musicians of that technical precision and intricacy just kind of sitting down to play that kind of music and create this like sort of semi-raw, just great record with a lot of atmosphere for it. And when I say like there's a lot of atmosphere, I'm not necessarily saying that it's like very symphonic. It just has this vibe to it. Listen to it first and tell me what you think. So that's it for me. That's all I've got. If you dug this content, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. This video series hasn't really been taking off so much, so I want to know your guys' thoughts. I want to know your guys' opinion. Should I continue to do the album of the week? Is this something you want to see more of going forward? And if it is, can you do me a favor and share this video? I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, and have a killer week. Check out those new releases.